What is up, duelists? Arts and Crofts here, once again bringing you your daily dose of Yu-Gi-Oh! Goat Format action. Today's feature match, we've got Kernman versus Wii U Vanessa. As always, both players rated in the top 200 of the Duelingbook Goat Format ladder at the time this match was played. Hopping right in, it looks like Kernman won that RPS, so they'll be able to go first. Interested to see what they might be running here. We're going to get a Thunder Dragon here to start, so Chaos list for us all. Once again to enjoy, probably. And then the follow-up play is going to be just a set monster pass. Nothing crazy, but good to at least get those TDs out of the deck. Vanessa here, let's see what we got. We've got a Sacred Crane, so a little bit of Reasoning Gate potentially here out of Vanessa. We're just going to summon the Crane and beat over the set monster. It is Gravekeeper Spy, though, so that's just going to wall you out pretty nicely. Get a lot of stats on board here early on for Kernman, so probably pretty happy about that. A little bit of a stalemate right now, of course, but Vanessa, likely just trying to set up for a big combo play, assuming they are on Reasoning Gate, which Crane pretty much always signifies. We're going to add another back row pass. Kernman here, we've got Injection Fairy Lily. Okay, interesting. So is this like Chaos Control with a main deck Lily, potentially? That could be interesting. We're going to see this Lily come down. We're going to go beat over this Crane, take a bunch of damage to do a lot of damage. And when all is said and done, both players are around 6,000 life points, but Kernman with a lot more potential damage here. Now, interestingly, keeping both of these spies in defense. I feel like generally when you're playing like these Chaos decks, you just want to be usually as aggressive as possible against Reasoning deck, but they do play the odd Mirror Force, which I guess we're playing around. And, Lily does a decent job on its own as well. However, I feel like there's a good opportunity to, against Reasoning Gate, it's important to get your opponent down below, like, Stein or Dimension Fusion Life is a way off. But I feel like if you could have just poked in with one extra spy and gotten them down below Stein Life, so that might be worth it into a relatively unknown list. We'll see if they get punished for it, though. Going to set a back row pass. We're going to get End Phase, Call of the Haunted on this Crane here, so playing around potential, like, Regeki Break or MST. And going to get to draw a card here, keep a monster on board for something like a Monster Gate. We're going to get Draw Phase, Ring of Destruction, though. Kernman recognizing that any monster on board for Vanessa could be a threat or a potential combo starter, so ringing it immediately before main phase 1, where they could have gone for that Monster Gate. Both players will take 16 as well, accelerating the game state a decent bit. Vanessa does have the Reasoning, though, so didn't need the monster on board to go for a little bit of a combo here. Obviously less consistent than the Monster Gate, of course, but you can play it for free, so makes sense there. Pretty well-balanced cards there, I think, right? Reasoning, Monster Gate automatically hits a monster, but it requires a monster for tribute. Reasoning is free, doesn't require a monster, but if your opponent guesses correctly, you don't get the monster, so actually pretty well-balanced there, I think. At this point, you've seen a Crane, so 4 is a little bit less likely, but I still feel like you call it, because they probably have more 4s than anything else in the list. So that's what I would call here if I was Kernman, especially with no back row. We're going to call 8, though. Okay, I mean, I guess if DMOC is on the top of the deck, there's no spells engraved to grab, so maybe that's good. So we find, now there are spells in deck, though. Okay, and we are going to flip into Fusilier Dragon, the Dual Mode Beast, a big 2800 attack beater coming down. Not big enough to get over Lily, but can whittle away these spies. We're just going to go meta the Fusilier into King Dragoon, a nice big choice there. 2400, still not big enough to get over Lily, but once again, big enough to get over the spies. And has some built-in protection, so can definitely understand going for that little upgrade there. Also notably getting a Dark Engrave to turn Chaos online, which would be pretty nice if you have any Sorks or something in hand. Let's see, a lot of potential options here for Vanessa in this combo line. We're going to go for a Chaos Monster. Sork hits the board, getting 2 monsters in the Banish Zone for a potential Dimension Fusion play as well. Sork can go ahead and banish that Lily, and then we're just going to go to Battle Phase. Dragoon will clear out a spy. 1 will still live, though. So Vanessa going for a little bit of a mini combo, but just ending on some value. 2 big beaters, 1 with some built-in protection to try and whittle away at Kernman, but their life points did remain safe that turn. So Kernman here kind of has to answer this board. A lot of cards in hand to potentially do it, though. Just going to go set a monster with a couple back row pass, so nothing immediately to deal with this board. King Dragoon, of course, is pretty difficult to deal with unless you have, like, mass removal, like a Tribe Infecting Virus or a Mirror Force. But Sork, definitely a lot easier to answer. Let's see, we're just going to go straight to main phase 1, Sork effect, banish the spy. Then Kerman's going to chain Secret Barrel. Okay, so are we on Chaos Burn here? I guess that definitely could be what we're seeing. We see T-Drag plus Spy, but also Secret Barrel, and I guess Lily is kind of a natural bridge between the two strategies. You can play it in both more fair decks if you want a little bit more of like an aggro swing. And it's also, of course, a staple in burn lists just to do a bunch of damage out of nowhere. And it's like level 3, so it gets into the battle floodgates, of course, and it's a giant rat target. So yeah, maybe Chaos Burn here out of Kernman, which we haven't seen in a while. And we're going to go Chain Trio to the barrel as well. So we're going to Trio lock our opponent, which seems pretty good against Reasoning Gate to prevent them from comboing off further. However, we don't have an out to their actual 2 monsters that were the result of their combo last turn, so maybe we should be focusing on those first. Of course, Burn not known for having a ton of spot or mass removal in the list at all. So maybe once these hit the board, it's a little bit too late for Burn, potentially. We'll see, though. Spy hits the Banish Zone. Vanessa will take a good chunk of damage. This is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 1,800 points to the Dome, which puts them, one big burn or 2 smaller burn cards away from dead. So it does need to keep this aggression going. We're going to go attack in with the King Dragoon here, killing a Breaker the Magical Warrior that was just set as a chump blocker. Once again, this is another turn for Vanessa where they were unable to deal any damage. And so, honestly, kind of fine for Kernman if they're able to find a couple more burn cards. Vanessa's going to set a couple back row, but you're not really too worried about the back row against Reasoning Gate. It's generally not super duper real. Kernman here just needs to find some burn. We got Heavy Storm, which is pretty nice. But we are going to chain Ring of Destruction on an Ojama token, taking 300 damage for the pleasure, but freeing up a monster zone. So interesting choice there. But looking to go for a little bit more combo stuff next turn, most likely. And then their other 2 back row, which is a Dead Scapegoat and a Dead Premature Burial with just the unsummoned BLS in the grave as a target. So not the end of the world for Vanessa, but good for Kernman to at least now know that they're pretty free to do whatever they want. Ooh, and we're just going to go normal summon Yaku Girei Panda for game. So this is interesting. I feel like this is more of a... The Chaos Burn lists we see here, we normally have seen on the channel, are generally more like 50-50, if anything leaned more towards the Chaos side of things to allow for the smokescreen into more pure Chaos Turbo post side. But this list is main decking Panda, so maybe this is actually like more of a burn list splashing Chaos stuff with Thunder Dragons and Spies, rather than what we normally see, which is more like a Chaos list splashing burn. So interesting, kind of on that spectrum of a mashup deck. This is definitely seems to be leaning more towards the burn side of things, which definitely probably caught Vanessa off guard if the turn 1 was just Thunder Dragon into set Spy pass. That's just, you see that 100 times a day out of turbo players, right? So maybe a little bit of element of surprise here in Kernman's favor. Panda's going to come down and seal this one out. This is exactly lethal, right? Yeah. 1,800 piercing over the token, and then the extra 300 for exactly lethal. Cool. So Kernman here on this Chaos Burn list is going to go up a game against Vanessa's Reasoning Gate. Reasoning Gate will be able to go first here in game 2, but interested to see what Kernman's side plan is here. Do you keep in the burn stuff? If you're main decking Pandas, I feel like you probably don't have enough burn stuff to take out to make it a Chaos Turbo smokescreen. So maybe we go into pure burn? I don't know. Kind of interesting. Not sure if I'm a fan of that exactly, so maybe we just kind of tweak the ratios a little bit and stay on the same general game plan. Vanessa here going to lead out with an Upstart Goblin, so thinning the deck just a little bit. And we're just going to set a back row pass. Reasoning Gate doesn't always have the most impressive turn 1, so that's totally fine. Kernman here, let's see. We're going to go normal summon Des Koala, so just starting to beat in a little bit. Pretty interesting. Of course, generally you see that monster set, especially on turn 1, when your opponent still likely has a lot of cards in hand, but we're just valuing the damage here. 1,100 points come to the Dome. We're going to set a couple back row behind it. Just looking to get in as much damage as quickly as possible, I guess, here. Or maybe anticipating that Vanessa is going to get a lot of cards out of their hand before this Koala flip effect could resolve, so rather we just get in for 1,100, potentially. Vanessa here, we're going to go fire off a Reasoning. Kernman, you probably call 4, right? And we will. Let's see what we flip into, though. We're going to hit a Des Wombat. That's a pretty nice side card against a burn or burn adjacent strategy. It is bigger than Des Koala as well. So we've got a little bit of animal action here. Wombat versus Koala. Mano y mano. A fight down in the down under, right? Oh man, any Aussie fans of this channel might be having a good time right now. And we're gonna snatch steal the koala as well. So players fighting over this just normal summon Death Koala, kind of funny to see. We're gonna book so that makes the normal summon koala play make a lot more sense. You have the book to protect it, and this way you can like play around and actually allows you to get more damage in faster. And it also plays around Nobleman of Crossout, which is pretty nice. Also, probably wasn't thinking about it exactly, but plays around Snatch Steal here as well. I wouldn't expect my opponent to try and Snatch Steal my face of Death Koala, but the book play ends up working in this scenario here too. And notably, now that it's in defense, the Des Wombat can't beat over it, although it will protect Vanessa from the burn damage from the Wombat effect. So maybe you just trigger it anyway before the Wombat gets removed. We're going to go set another monster here, having not used our normal summon just yet, and we're going to Monster Gate that one away. So Fusilier Dragon hitting the grave once again here in game 2, and we'll see what we spin into. We find a Blowback Dragon. That seems like a pretty good pick against Burn because it's just very versatile removal. Can deal with the scary flips as well as the combat floodgates, so definitely like seeing this one here. We kind of don't care about the koala, right? We can just beat over with, unless we just want to do as much damage as possible. But we could, as an option, always just like blowback, beat over the koala. Wombat will protect us from the burn damage and then get in for 16 if we want to play it a little bit slower. You could even just use the blowback effect on the back row to make this a little bit safer. Couple potential lines here for Vanessa. We're going to go and try and pop the back row, so playing a little bit slow here. Put those coins, need 2 heads, we get a single tails, and double tails, so blowback effect not coming through, and then I guess the backup plan, you can always just beat over this anyway, and then Wombat's going to get in for 16, so a little bit of damage done, 2 strong monsters against Burn on the board, thanks to this little mini combo from Vanessa, and seems like they're in a pretty decent spot here. Going to add a back row to the board as well, keep things interesting for Kerman. And we're just going to draw go, so Vanessa in a decent spot here. Lots of monsters on the board, foiled Kerdman's opening plan, and now is rewarded with a generally free board state. Yeah, go and try and pop the back row again here with the blowback. Why not? Second time is the charm, so I've been told. We got tails into double tails. So blowback not really doing too much here. Just a nice 2300 vanilla, essentially, so far this game. But we get to get in for 3900 damage, which ain't too shabby. And Vanessa now passing with lethal on board. Blowback Dragon, surely won't miss for the 3rd time in a row. So Kerman here has to find potentially multiple answers to this, or at least a way to wall out the damage. Even if you find a Battle Floodgate, though, Wombat's only level 3, so Wombat alone is the 3-turn clock in the face of like a Gravity Bind or something. So Kerman very much in between a rock and a hard place at this point in time. We're going to go normal summon Panda, though. Okay, so this is a 1800 attack Panda. Can beat over the Wombat, which would be pretty nice to turn on a lot of plays. And this is pretty nice for Kernman. Killing the Wombat means a lot of their cards probably do something when they wouldn't have done anything before. Vanessa will take 200 damage, and the Panda will get powered back down. But we're going to add another back row. Blowback Dragon no longer represents lethal, but can get at least another chance to blow something up. We're going to go and try and kill the Panda here. Okay. Surely we're not going to miss 3 times in a row. Heads. Okay, 1 more heads is all we need. And there you go. Okay, the come from behind the reverse sweep blowback dragon, the coin flip. We're going to be able to blow up this Panda and then beat in for 23. And that is just going to go through. Okay, so Kernman was only able to answer the Des Wombat, but still no Battle Floodgate or out to this blowback dragon. And they're going to drop all the way down to 1200 life points with Vanessa still sitting at 67. Looking pretty good for our Reasoning Gate player here, but Kerman has a lot of cards to play around with, so might not be over just yet. Gonna go set a monster, add a couple back row. Vanessa, aggressive play for them would just be Blowback Dragon, pop the set, attack for lethal, or do we play it safe and try and pop a back row? Let's see. We're gonna go and just go for the lethal line. Sure. We get a heads. And we get double heads. Cool. So the set is dead. Ooh, and it was a morphing jar. So last little Hail Mary play there for Kernman. If that was to resolve, could have thrown this whole game into chaos. But now it's just been dealt with by the blowback dragon. Failed the first 2 flips, but succeeded in the last 2. So, we all regress to the mean eventually, right, guys? And blowback dragon will attack for lethal. Is it enough? We got Karibo to keep them alive. Nice. Side deck Karibo coming in here for Kerman. It is going to be a -1, and Vanessa will be able to pass with lethal on board once again. And it's pretty clear that none of Kernman's back row are any battle floodgates, otherwise you would have saved your Karibo. But they will live to see another day, give them a chance to draw 1 more card. Vanessa will pass behind this blowback dragon. Kerman finds a monster to set, so once again, we will be in the fate of the dragon. If you can pop this monster, you probably will be attacking for lethal here. So will we be on the positive side of variance today or the negative? Let's see. Tails is not a good start for Vanessa. We got double tails. Okay, so blowback, not going to do it. We're just gonna go main phase, summon Sacred Crane though. And notably, Crane is still lethal. I think playing around like blowback or playing around Desk Koala would definitely make sense. So you don't want to attack with the Crane first, but luckily Crane is lethal on its own, so you probably just sequence it blowback dragon first, then Crane in, and go for the game. And Kernman saying, you know what, you're probably gonna figure it out. Pretty clear because they went for the Karibo that they had no real back row. We're just gonna go to game 3 here in Chaos Burn versus Reasoning Gate. Really cool there. Blowback Dragon doing a lot of work there despite failing 3 times on the flip. The 2 times that they succeeded was pretty nice. And just having a big 2300 attack point body is not too bad in and of itself. And that's going to be enough. That little mini combo out of Vanessa is going to be enough to carry them to the victory in game 2. But Kerman here has the initiative in game 3 going first. Going to start with a T-set pass. Could be anything. So a lot of stuff for Vanessa to worry about. See what they can do. We are going to go fire off Pot of Greed. So good start here for Vanessa, getting the free +1. We're going to go normal summon Sacred Crane. Set a back row in case it's Morphing Jar or Desk Koala. And we're going to attack into Cyber Jar. Okay, so things are about to get messy, folks. Cyber Jar is going to wipe the board, getting a Light Engrave for Vanessa, getting a Dark Engrave in case that matters for Kerman. I have to assume if they're main decking Thunder Dragon, they're probably playing at least BLS, so this might matter. But more importantly, we're going to be spinning into some stuff. Notably, it's still Vanessa's battle phase, so depending on what comes up here, could get in for some more damage. However, I feel like Reasoning Gate is probably one of the worst Cyber Jar decks. Unless you can set up for it intentionally, because you're not going to be summoning a lot of monsters off of here. Unless you find Sacred Crane. I guess finding Sacred Crane is pretty good off of Cyber Jar, because you get the plus. But a lot of the monsters are stuff that you actually want to still have in your deck, right? And not in your hand. So, could be a double-edged sword here. Kernman hits a Thunder Dragon, which presumably is the only one in their hand, so probably fine with that. Hitting Koala and Panda as well, so getting some monsters on board, and then 2 decently powerful back row cards. Vanessa, yeah, here's the fear, right? You just hit into unsummonable monsters. Decree is a nice card, though, against Burn, though, so you're probably pretty happy that you found that. But you're going to get a hand stuck with a Blowback Dragon and a dead BLS at the time being. Reasoning will be nice, but you're stuck in your battle phase, so you won't be able to actually summon a monster here to get in any damage this turn. So Cyberjar did a good job of at least buying some time for Kernman. And now both players will fill up their hands with lots of juicy cards. I think a key point of this match will be if Vanessa is able to resolve and keep this Decree around. Because Decree is, of course, very, very solid against Burn a lot of the time. Oh, yeah, Snatch Shield goes to the hand. Decree, I mean, it's good against Burn. It's not amazing because it does just kind of lose to Giant Trunade, but it can be good to at least buy you some time, and if you can chain it to your opponent's Burn stuff, you can get some value out of it as well. So we're just going to go to main phase 2. Vanessa will just set a bunch of back row, and then activate Card Destruction. Oh, wow, so we are wheeling and dealing here. Both players will pitch their whole hands. Vanessa discarding their own Blackluster Soldier is interesting, but getting Light Darken in the grave by discarding the Blowback Dragon as well, so maybe thinking it's worth it, especially if you can find a Chaos Sorcerer. Likely having already set the Decree, of course, as well. And both players are going to lose a lot of cards here. Karibo hitting the grave. Fun to see that 2 games in a row. Thunder Dragon hitting the bin as well. Kernman does have Chaos Live, though, with that TD in the grave. But both players are going to get a nice full grip of cards. Yeah, lots of dead monsters in hand here for Vanessa. I guess Fusilier was summonable, but not really anything to combo with it. A dead at the moment, Dimension Fusion, Giant Trunade as well. So all decent cards, but can definitely understand going for a little bit of something stronger here. Both players really churn into their decks here early on with Cyberjar plus card destruction resolving outside of an empty jar play. It's kind of funny. Vanessa is going to go, okay, we're going to go Monster Reincarnation, right? So maybe worried about a potential Panda coming through here. We did set up for Chaos by discarding our hand with the card destruction, so we can bounce the BLS back to our hand and then summon it and banish one of these sets. 50-50 which one we hit, Koala or Panda. Both are probably good to hit, though. We're going to Chain Ring, though, on the BLS, so both players will take 3,000, but it will result in a 2-for-1 with this BLS. Banish the Koala and trading for the ring, but both players will take a decent chunk of damage. Kerman here has a lot of cards available to them. Upstart Goblin here, once again from Vanessa, into Swords, flipping up the Panda. Pass turn with a Floodgate here is pretty nice. Kerman has a lot of potential damage available to them. However, Vanessa does have this Decree. So Kernman going to need to resolve a Giant Trunade before they go off. Most likely, we do know that they had one, or they have one in hand, right? Or maybe not. I guess we didn't know if they had a Trunade or not. But we haven't seen one yet, and they just drew a bunch of cards. So unless you cited it out, pretty likely you have a Trunade. So interested to see if they're able to play around this Decree. We're going to go fire off the second Thunder Dragon. Still has one remaining in their deck. Fire off Pot of Greed as well. So really, really churning through nice and quickly here. Graceful Charity as well with the double TD to discard. Or I guess just the single TD. So we're going to have Panda hit the grave as well. Pretty redundant with the one you already have, so it makes sense. We're going to go set a bunch of stuff, activate level limit, try and wait out the Swords, and try and get some damage down. We're going to go End Phase Decree, so Vanessa is showing which one it is. But of course, nothing chainable here out of Kernman, so pretty safe play at this point in time. We're going to go End Phase Scapegoat as well. So maybe Monster Grade in hand for Vanessa, going for something nice. However, Scapegoat, a little bit of a double-edged sword against Burn, sets up for some juicy Just Desserts or Panda swings. So Vanessa has to be careful if they're not able to kill before the Swords of Revealing Light goes away. Vanessa here is going to go ahead and activate Monster Gate as expected, tributing a token. We're going to flip into Dark Magician of Chaos, which I'm sure was exactly what you wanted to hit. The little cheeky Mystic Walk here in the side as well. It would be funny to just see that one get grabbed, but also some, powerful options here as well. Pot of Greed is never a bad choice, of course. Some combo extenders as well. Dimension Fusion in the grave, too, if they want to, I guess it's not great when you have a bunch of scapegoats on the field. But it is an option. See what we grab. Need an out. We're going to go Trunade, which does get you an out temporarily to this level limit area B. We can go Premature Burial on BLS if we want as well, because that has been summoned correctly, so not bad. Everything gets summoned in defense, though. Banish a Spy, sure. Set a back row pass. Everything nice and gummed up here. Kernman filled up their back row, too, so even though they do have an out to the level limit, they can't play it right now unless they bluff set it. Kernman here is going to go ahead and summon Tribe Infecting Virus. Okay. Nice card here. Definitely lots of good stuff you would want to deal with. Let's see, we call Warrior, discarding a Sangan, popping BLS, sure. Call Spellcaster, banishing the Demock, sure. Now, ooh, he still can't attack, though, so even though this Panda is nice and big because of these Scapegoat tokens, can't be attacking just yet, but second turn of Swords is gone, so soon the floodgates will open and Vanessa will be in a little bit of trouble. We're going to fire off this Giant Trunade, though, removing all floodgates, and honestly, nice combo with the Swords to keep this Panda at bay for even longer. But notably for Vanessa, this level limit is gone, so if you want to go for a big play here, now is the time. We got Reasoning. What monsters do you still have left in your deck? Not really sure. We've seen Fusilier, we've seen Blowback, we've seen Demock. See what we can grab. Jinzo is probably what you expect. Yeah, call 6, I like that. We're just going to hit the Decimal Bite. I guess we knew about that. That's not bad. It can't clear out the Panda, though, which is kind of the big thing you're worried about. Ooh, are we going to Brain Con? We're going to Brain Con the Tribe. Oh, nice. And then Tribute Summon for Jinzo. That is really cute. Okay. Nice play here out of Vanessa, dealing with the Tribe, sticking a Death Wombat, and clearing out the Panda all in one fell swoop. And they get to start beating with 1600. You have Wombat and Decree and Jinzo as all cards to ruin a burn player's day. And suddenly we're in a pretty awesome spot. We got Swords of Revealing Light here, back on turn 1 thanks to the reset from the Giant Trunade. And Kernman has a nice full grip of cards, but just really can't do anything. Like, so many powerful anti-burn cards coming through here out of Vanessa in this game 3. It's going to be really tough for Kernman to make any progress against this board. Needs like a lightning vortex or something, really, to make some progress here. Level Limit Area B will deal with the Jinzo for now. Floodgate effect is still real, though, and the Wombat represents a lot of damage. Ooh, but the Panda is going to come through. It's a max attack Panda. It can't attack, but it will just sit here as a nice wall for Kernman to protect them. All right. Is that going to be enough? First turn of Sword's gone. Ooh, can we just go meta into Thousand Eyes, suck the Panda? It's still 800. It's 800 damage a turn, which, you know, ain't nothing. Criminal will take a little bit, sure. Better than nothing. It is a level 1, so it makes progress against this level limit. And this is maybe just a little bit of a checkmate scenario with all of these powerful floodgate effects available to Vanessa. But Kerman could maybe wall out and play for a deck out, potentially. With only 9 cards left in Vanessa's list. Going to need to out your own Thousand Eyes if you really want to make a lot of progress here. So going to set a back row pass. Another turn of Swords. Checks down. And yeah, do we have an out to our Thousand Eyes, or are we going to lose to deck out? Draw go. Is this enough for Kernman? Are we going to hole up here and win on the stall half of Stall Burn? Set a back row pass, sure. Vanessa down to 5 cards in deck. Do we have an out to a Thousand Eyes? We're going to Heavy Storm, okay. So blowing up the board, dealing with double Royal Decree. That feels pretty good, but still the Jinzo on board. That gets you pretty much the same effect. We're going to go Premature Burial on the Panda, and is Panda game? Or Panda is a lot of damage over one of these tokens. Oh, we can't attack, though, because the Thousand Eyes is still here, so we need to out that. We're going to go Trunade, though, with the Premature, so nice little combo there. Ooh, are we going to Premature Tribe to blow up the board? That could be nice. Yeah, Premature, regrab the Tribe, and had BLS in hand as well for fun. Yeah, so Kernman found this line here. Really well played there. I thought Vanessa had them in a checkmate scenario with Jinzo, Double Decreed, Wombat, all this good stuff, but ended up Thousand Eyes locking themselves to deal with the big 3,300 attack Panda, and Kernan then just went for an interesting OTK with a Giant Trunade line. Double Premature Burial is pretty nice. Did have the BLS in the deck to make use of their, Chaos Burn sort of stuff here, or the Chaos portion. And this is very clearly, especially because they're running the Battle Floodgates, it's very clearly Burn splashing Thunder Dragons and Spies to support BLS, which is pretty interesting. Very different to the normal Chaos Burn lists we see that are much more of a 50-50 between the two strategies, or even leaning towards the Chaos stuff more. But Kerman's sticking to their guns for all 3 games. Drop game 2 to just some nice combos there from Vanessa. The Blowback Dragon, Death Wombat duo doing a lot of work against them. But here in game 3, dragging it out, Vanessa got into an awkward spot with this Thousand Eyes. And Kerman was able to find this cool OTK line with Double Premature Burial and BLS. And that is going to be it. Chaos Burn taking it down 2-1 versus Reasoning Gate. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I will catch you all next time.